Hey everybody, this is Eric Brady. Just finished up this project. This ended up being about a 1 day project between emptying out the stuff that I had in the trailer and running that over to the recycling center and then going down to Home Depot and picking up my supplies for this and another project. Coming back, getting some work done, taking kids to sports, coming back and finishing up. But I just have a few hours into this really once I knew what I was doing and had my supplies on hand. It really didn't take all that long at all. So if you recall before, this was all just 2x4 framing with R13 insulation in there, unfaced, so no vapor barrier, which is acceptable in an attic in most climates. If you're extremely hot and moist and extremely cold and moist, that can be an issue. You have to have a vapor barrier usually. So you got to know what you're doing, and the way you installed it is reverse from each other, whether you're in a heating or a cooling dominated climate. So this is generally considered a cooling climate. So the pink board here is serving as a vapor barrier. And really more than anything, what I was interested in is just getting an air barrier up here so that the existing insulation could do its job and not have warm and cold air leaking through it into my daughter's bedroom, which is just on the other side of it. Worked out to be just about exactly 64 square feet. I think that's the right number, which is 2 sheets of 4x8 foam board. And I used the R10, which is 2-inch thickness, because I'm doing this work, whether I'm putting in a 1/2 inch, an inch, inch and a half, 2-inch, I might as well get the additional R value as a benefit. R10 2-inch, you can get it in thicker, but R10 2-inch is about what is carried at your most big box stores. So kind of what's going on here is I didn't get real precise with my cuts. Left a nice gap at the top. I wanted a good air seal up there, so I left between a 1/2 inch and an inch for spray foam to go in along that upper edge. I just did butt joints in the field here, and then I used the foil faced tape. This is actual true duct tape that you get in the HVAC section of the hardware store to tape all my seams, because again, I'm really interested in air barrier here. Foam goes up through there. Some of this stuff we'd be considering this to be cobble, where I'm using a combination of spray foam and the foam board. But again, I'm just really interested in getting good air seal and vapor retarder or vapor barrier. The open cell foam is considered a vapor retarder. The extruded polystyrene board is considered a vapor barrier. It's actually a little bit permeable, but it's so low that it doesn't, in most cases, it doesn't matter. I made sure to cut a notch down there in that bottom corner because I believe that little section of roof that's down there vents into this space and then out through the gable vent over there. So I didn't want to block that off because that's how we vent that little space. Same with the other side over there. You can see where that Romex is going in. There's a little bit of a hole, and that's how the hot air or cold air or whatever is traveling through the attic into this space, unconditioned space, and going out through the gable vent. I used plastic washers. They did have metal washers at Home Depot. They did not have the plastic washers. I used the plastic ones. I had some left over roofing nails with some plastic washers. You can see I used almost all of them. They'd have plastic washers at Amazon, and those are coming tomorrow. I just assumed that they would have them at Home Depot, but apparently not. So you can buy a box of those, manually take them off and put them on there. I do recommend plastic. You're trying to reduce the amount of metal that's going through the wall and, being a thermal bridge between this space and the wood that's behind. Wood is actually a terrible insulator. So we don't want to rely upon wood joists or wall joists to our insulation. If we can do a continuous sheet of insulation over it all, it's going to function a lot better. So even though it was R13 behind and it's R10 here, you notice that this is continuous sheet. I don't have any studs showing, so it's stopping that thermal bridging. It's serving as a thermal break, and the R10 is probably going to perform a lot better than the R13 behind it overall. So we have a technical R20 3 in the main areas. If you're going for like a passive house standard, which is about as high as you really can go, in my climate zone, that would be about an R29. So if I wanted to beef this up with another layer, I could do that. I don't see any need for it. It's walls. My house is not that efficient. I think we can do more just by getting better ventilation in here, perhaps putting a solar powered fan on the gable vent. But again, this is unconditioned space below. It's roof above. We really just wanted to isolate this end of the garage attic from this bedroom right here. And this is really going to be doing that. So feeling really good about it. Worked really well. Just used 2.5 inch screws. You could use 3 inch. I just use drywall screws. You don't need anything fancy. Shouldn't have enough moisture up here to cause them to significantly rust. If I'm wrong about that, you could always use decking screws that have like a painted, anodized coating, or galvanized screws. I think this is good enough. Yes, we live in a humid climate, but it's inside, so it's not getting rained on. So yeah, looking really good. It's a little messy here and there. That's the thing about being a homeowner is I don't care. This was cost effective, time effective. I went ahead and there was a beam down here, if you recall. I pulled that insulation back, ran the insulation down over that beam several inches, not all the way to the sheetrock, but a good amount. And then used foam insulation, spray foam insulation, just a bead all the way around, trying to get, again, we're trying to make this pretty airtight. So we pretty much have foam insulation running like that. And there's a few spots on these littler pieces where I just went ahead and foamed in the whole area. Now what I did was I sprayed the foam insulation, installed the board, sprayed 1 or sometimes 2 additional layers of foam insulation, just trying to beef it up so that we don't have a hot or a cold spot. We just kind of want to make it effective as a foam board. So that's why it's kind of bulging out here and there. Just use a can. End up using just over 2 cans of spray foam insulation. I could have stopped at 2, but I'm going to be doing this in other parts of my attic, so opening another can wasn't a big deal, and I'll be working on that tomorrow, so it should be in good shape. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty happy with it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I do try and respond. Again, this is not what I would do in a heating climate like Seattle. This is more of a cooling climate situation. In a heating climate like Seattle, what I probably would have done was uninstall the R13 insulation, install foam board up against the back of the sheetrock, and then reinstalled the insulation on the outside of that, and maybe even run additional unfaced bat insulation or rock wool insulation on the outside. That would have been pretty effective. Or you could have just installed rock wool insulation against there. But in Seattle, is a pretty extreme climate with moisture. I would want that vapor barrier on the inside. More than likely in Seattle, that builder installed insulation would have had a vapor barrier on the inside. So we would have been good to go. And then I probably would have come with rock wool makes a rigid piece of insulation that breathes, and you can install that. Now, what I have done before in that kind of situation where I need it to breathe is you can buy the expanded polystyrene, so the white ones that have the little kernels. Usually that has a plastic face. You can peel that plastic face off and then screw it just like I've done here to the wall. That will get you airtight, but it will not get you vapor tight. So the vapor will be able to escape into the attic. Because this is a cooling climate, my hot moist air is generally speaking out here, and we want to stop that moisture from wicking essentially into my insulation at all. So my vapor barrier is on the outside. On the inside in a cold, heating climate, cold climate, and the vapor barrier is on the outside in a cooling or a hot climate. All right, that's it. Bye.